Part 1 of a documentary released by the BBC on the 17th of January has created ripples back home in the UK, and the reason is simple. This documentary, titled India, the Modi Question, claims to examine the role of the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, in allowing the riots to happen. The documentary even has people who say that the riots were ethnic cleansing and targeted at Gujarat's Muslim minority. This documentary has now been called by the Indian External Affairs Ministry as propaganda and indicative of a colonial mindset. The MEA, today in the first ever official government reaction to this documentary, said that the film has no objectivity and is only trying to push a narrative.
We think this is a propaganda piece designed to push a particular discredited narrative. The bias, a lack of objectivity, and frankly a continuing colonial mindset is blatantly visible. If anything, this film or documentary is a reflection on the agency and individuals that are peddling this narrative again. It makes us wonder whether about the purpose of this exercise and the agenda behind it. And frankly, we do not wish to dignify such efforts.
But the charges don't just stop at what the External Affairs Ministry said today. The Indian diaspora in the UK has also been staging protests against the documentary, calling it one filled with half-truths and aimed at creating fissures in Indian society and deliberately project a negative image of India and in particular the Prime Minister of India. In fact, Lord Rami Ranger wrote to the British Foreign Office calling the Modi Question a piece of work that insults not just India as a country, but even its Supreme Court. Why? Because remember, it is the Supreme Court of India that has examined these same details, these same facts, these same witnesses and these same incidents, and has actually given a clean chit to Narendra Modi for the 2002 Gujarat riots. But as far as this documentary is concerned, the most damning testimony is from Swapan Das Gupta, the BJP leader who was interviewed for the documentary by the BBC, and he claims that his interview has been selectively quoted in order to pad up a hatchet job.
I'm here because, frankly, I'm sick and tired of the continuous, inaccurate, bigoted reporting that the BBC does. I want the BBC to recognise the responsibility that they have to ensure that their reporting is accurate, it's non-biased, and it doesn't divide communities, which is exactly what they're doing.
So I think this documentary is a very short-sighted, has no vision, it doesn't look at a bigger picture. This event took place 20 years ago. Indian judiciary tried, tested everything, and Mr. Modi was exonerated.
Well, it was basically more in the nature of a particular agenda. They wanted to demonstrate that Mr. Modi has got a clean chit, but this clean chit is not emphatic, and these are clouded in controversy. The judgments are spurious, etc., etc. And I think though that there was a ready-made conclusion, and they tried to establish that. So, as I keep on saying, this was a hatchet job, and they went out and did that.
The strange thing though is that many within India are even now actively peddling the documentary and have hailed it as a piece of great investigative journalism. But the question is, how? How has the BBC, reached a different conclusion after investigating the same facts that the Supreme Court of India already has and has reached a very different conclusion? Are those people who are hailing the findings of this documentary then insinuating that they believe the TV channel more than India's agencies and courts? And finally, with the work being called a propaganda piece and a hit job, the question is, what is the motive or the agenda behind it?